Fire me up, Brady! Ah! Let's go! This guy's silky. Hello. Welcome back, everyone up right now. Chicago Hockey Radio. Hope you're all having a lovely Monday. Happy draft lottery day to all those who celebrate and partake. I'm Lee Grossman. With me, as always, my co-host Justin Lynch, a.k.a. B-Hawks Memes. Tassos, Kirkos, and Raven Gasser are with us today as well. Crazy weekend of hockey. We have been blessed by the hockey gods for what we got to witness this weekend. Jam-packed show today. We've got David Dwork coming on later in the program. He covers the Florida Panthers, and he's the host of the hockey show on the Dan Le Batard Network. So we're excited to talk to him in just a bit about the Florida Panthers, the playoffs, the Panthers series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and much more. So big show. Justin, how are you feeling this morning? Could be a historical day for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Do I look nervously? No, I'm excited for today. I think nervous but excited. I feel like I shouldn't be nervous. I feel like this is probably the least nervous draft lottery. At least it should be. But it feels like hopefully it's the last one we'll have to worry about for a while. So yeah, hopefully we get a nice outcome there. Looking forward to it. And also got some playoff hockey to look forward to tonight and to talk about from this past weekend. One of the craziest weekends of playoff hockey I think I've ever witnessed. I mean, two absolute cinema game sevens. So much to get into today. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, dude, the games were crazy. Let's do some draft Lotto talk.
Yeah, that seems like the ideal place to start.
Just to kick this thing off. So the Blackhawks obviously have the second best odds to pick number one in this year's draft. But realistically, if you were on the stream last night, you guys saw me. I did the tankathon simulation 13 times. I did it 13 times on the live stream yesterday, Justin. The Blackhawks did not pick one or two a single time of those 13 simulations.
Or two? Wait, you dropped the 3-4 every single time?
Correct. Every single time.
Lee, I have good news for you. You think it's really those odds that determine the order here, but really it's supreme leader Gary Batman, the betting man himself, who I think decides this thing. So hopefully the Hawks are on his side there. Yeah,
I'm hoping that my 13 simulations just means that the Blackhawks are due, because like if they don't get it 13 times in a row, I mean,
exactly. Lucky 13. The odds are in our favor, actually.
And so between because that's really what we're hoping for. We're hoping to pick first or second.
Yeah.
Obviously, the most ideal situation is probably to pick second. Maybe
that nothing happens, right? Like the same deal as last year. Nobody moves up, nobody moves down. Same outcome. If the Sharks are at 1, surely they take Schaefer. Then we take Misa at 2. We still have a chance of McKenna next year. God forbid we shit the bed again, which hopefully we don't. But it's good to have that in your back, kind of your back pocket, things go poorly. So yeah, picking 2 is definitely the best case there for the Hawks. But like, I don't think if we got the first pick. Like, I'm surprised how many Hawks fans out there I've seen are like, oh, I really don't want to get the first pick. That would be terrible. Really? Yeah, the first pick in the draft would be terrible? Absolutely not. It would guarantee Michael Misa. Because here's the thing. Even if we stand pat at 2, depending on who gets the first pick, it doesn't mean we're going to get Michael Misa. Now everybody's going to be taking Matthew Schaefer. I would be surprised if we got the first pick if Davidson took Schaefer over Misa. I mean, never say never with that guy. He's done it before, but I think he would take Misa at 1, like even at 2 if he was available. So yeah, I think I would not complain if we got the first pick. I know that would take us out of the running for McKenna next year. In a way, it forces us not to take anymore. Yeah. So if anything, that might be another good thing to getting first this year. Because how many times have we said in the show, Lee, this should be the last important draft. This should be the last draft haul. We have all the prospects here, almost all of them. Now is the time to start, using the assets we have and training for talent and start progressing. Now is the time. We can't tank forever. And not just McKenna. I'm hearing Hawks fans are like, oh, it would take us out of the running for DuPont in 2027. 2027.
These motherfuckers cannot be talking to me about DuPont in 2027.
You guys want to be the Buffalo Sabres and be just the draft lottery champions every single year? No. So look, let's get the best outcome we can get in this draft lottery. I'm not worried about next year or the year after that. I'm worried about today. Let's get the first, second pick and let's move forward here.
Yeah, I understand like the sentiment. Of course, like I agree. I want to pick 2 because then even if the Blackhawks perform better next year and they make that step, and maybe you have like a 6% chance of winning the draft lottery next year, you still take that. But with that being said, like I'd rather have the first overall pick this year than the third overall pick, like
exactly. I think that's a second best option is what we're saying, right? I agree. I think the best option is number 2, depending on who gets 1. It doesn't guarantee me, simply have a pretty good chance at getting him. But like, yeah, number 1 is the second best option here, right? I mean, but yeah, getting number 2 would be nice. It's just nice to have that as an option, right? If things do go poorly next year, because a lot of Hawks fans actually thought we'd take that step this year, and it didn't happen. Look where we were, bottom 3. I think in the long run, it's going to pan out pretty well for us. But like, next year we don't want that to be the same situation. But if it is, it's good to have that as an option. Imagine next year like we sucked again, and we didn't have the option to move up and get Gavin McKenna. Then we're tanking for nothing. It's a lost season. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Yeah.
We're going to have a ton of time to discuss what the Blackhawks should do with their whatever overall pick after tonight. But if the Blackhawks get the first overall pick, would you be absolutely shocked if they took Matthew Schaefer number 1?
After last year, no. Honestly, like, I mean, I feel more confident this year that I'll get the outcome I want. Like, I'd be surprised. After last year, KD set a precedent. You would probably argue the opposite. In my opinion, no. He went off a positional need last year. So he's got to do it again this year. Like, we already got our generational piece, right? That there's no debate, right? Now you got to surround him. And that's what you got to do. Like, the missing piece of this Hawks team is a superstar play with Bedsy. I love Frank Dazer. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking like a superstar to play with Bedsy. Michael Misa. Like, that's the guy. So I would be shocked. We already have Alex Vlasic. We have already Levshinov. We have Sam Renzel. Korchinski, I don't know if you've been watching the Ice Hogs. He's been looking a lot better in the Calder Cup playoffs. So we have 4 studs. 4 stud D-men, potentially. On the back end, we do not need Matthew Schaefer. I'm shocked how many people I've seen arguing this point. And like, oh, he's the best player in the draft. Really? Is he really? He hasn't played a game in the year 2025. Michael Misa has put up the best numbers in the OHL since Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, have you ever heard of that guy? So yeah, I think Michael Misa is the best player in this draft, not Matthew Schaefer. And he's the player we need in terms of positional needs. No, like there's no debate. If you have the number 1 pick, you should be taking Michael Misa. But would it shock me if KD overthunk this? He loves to overthink things and go with Schaefer. It would not shock me in the slightest. If he did, you got to trade one of those top 4 defensemen and use that as assets to get back a star forward to play at Betsy. That's what you got to do. And it'd probably be Korchinski, right? Because you're not going to trade Vlasic, Renzel, or Artie. It's probably Korchinski, the odd man out there. So, but I don't want to go down that road. I'd rather have faith in what we have here. And yeah, I just think the obvious pick for me is Misa 1. Yeah.
Over the next month and a half or whatever it is until the draft, I'll make sure to come ready with some good talking points and argue for why the Hawks should take Matthew Schaefer at 1 just to get you fired up.
Oh my gosh. Tassos definitely puts you on that.
No, I agree with you. It's Michael Misa, but I would not be stunned if they got the first overall pick and we're like, no, we're going with Schaefer. Like if you do truly believe that he's the best player in the draft, then you get the first overall pick, you take the best player in the draft. That's my only thing. But
Lee, I think the bigger question is if we have the second pick and Misa's taken at 1, then do you take Schaefer? I think that's the more realistic question here. And in that case, I'll admit you probably do. Like, would you really take? I love Porter Marteau and James Higgins, but would you really take them over Matthew Schaefer?
No,
I don't know.
No. Yeah. If Misa gets taken 1 and you're picking 2,
you have to.
You take Schaefer.
You have to.
Yeah.
And then you do that trade that I said earlier, yeah. Right? Yeah. And then worst case scenario, here's the thing, because I know, like, look, there is realistic that the Hawks aren't picking 1 or 2, and we pick 3 or 4. It's not the end of the world. Like, okay, then we get Porter Marteau, the power 4 we've been searching for this whole time, the final piece of the puzzle. Yeah. And Marian Hossa, the size up front. We don't have that right now, right? Or you go with the intriguing option, James Higgins. I know he's another small forward, but like, look, he was the guy for like half of this year that we thought was going to be the number 1 guy. I know his stock fell a little bit, but that could be Walmart Jack Hughes. I wouldn't pass that up at 4. There are other options out there that I've seen thrown out, like that don't really move me, to be honest. Like, I'm not really interested in Anton Frundell or really anybody else. If it's not Martone or James Higgins, I don't really care. So I'm hoping it's one of those 3: Higgins, Martone, or Misa, or God forbid, Matthew Schaefer. But like, look, even that wouldn't be. It would take me a bit of time, but it took me a bit of time with Artie. But I understand it. I understand the logic. Like, if you think this guy could be the next Norris Trophy, McCarr, Quinn Hughes defenseman, you'll make it work. You make it work, right? So, bottom line, I think my main thesis point here is we're guaranteed a top 4 pick. We're going to be leaving this draft with a great player to add to this core. So, no matter what happens, whether they're picking 1 or 4, like, really, we're guaranteed a good outcome here. But obviously, you want the best outcome. Yeah.
And, even if you pick 3 or 4, hopefully KD's working something,
Working the phones.
yeah. And maybe packaging some later picks and trying to move up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, to your point, yeah, it's like even if you end up picking 3 or 4, you're adding another great forward to the roster, which is what we need to do. So yeah, it's not as stressful, I think, as some people are like. Don't get me wrong, landing Michael Misa
We'll still be nervous.
Would be huge, and we're going to be on edge. But it's not like, oh my gosh, this team's never going to achieve anything if they end up picking 3rd or 4th.
Exactly right. Like we already have kind of our main piece of the puzzle here. Now it's just adding to it, right? Getting the guys. Like we have the guy now, just adding guys around him. So I think Misa would definitely be the ideal outcome, but I don't think we'll be complaining, in the future if we end up with with Mark Toad Higgins or whoever. Like okay, whatever. Anyway, like it's a good outcome. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Let's get into the games this weekend because they were crazy. Let's start with Friday. The Blues winning Game 6 at home, 5-2 versus the Jets, forcing a Game 7. The story kind of continues with Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets on the road. They get thrashed again. What were your thoughts on that one and main takeaways?
My main thoughts is Hellebuck is a fraud in the playoffs. I mean, look at him on the road, man. Is there a single game in the road he hasn't let in like 5 goals in that series? Like unbelievable, man. I found your guys' debate with Tassos the other night pretty entertaining about playoff Hellebuck and how much he is to blame for the Jets there. I know they do advance. We'll get to that later, but I don't really think it was because of him. I think it was in spite of him. So, but yeah, I think in terms of that game, the Blues forced a Game 7. I'm glad they did because it wound up to be another outstanding Game 7 there, just like Saturday. So, no, good for them. I really thought after that game that they were going to take Game 7, to be honest. Like, I think I favored the Blues last night. It didn't go their way. They choked, which I'm not going to complain about as a Blackhawks fan, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this Friday Game 6, it was relatively close as some of these have been, and then it's like the Winnipeg Jets blink their eyes, and then all of a sudden the Blues are up like 3 goals, and then that's kind of been the story on the road for the Jets in that first series. It would just be like, it wouldn't just
a
be
disaster.
One at a time. It would be like a 5-minute stretch where you let in a boatload of goals and then you can't come back in the game because of that. And so, yeah, it was the exact same story in Game 6. I think we both predicted the Blues to win handily, and they did. What I really didn't like from Hellebuck, honestly, in this one is because, let's be honest, he was terrible. 783 save percentage. He let in 5 goals on 23 shots. He got pulled after the second period, and then he didn't return to the bench to sit with his team in the third period. And I just don't like that. That was one of the main. That was one.
It's not a good look.
One of the big things I brought up on the live stream last night where Tassos and I were having the discussion, it's just like, that's not good leader. Like, you can play bad in a series, but you still got to be there for your team. Like, you can't just, like, none of those guys. You think any of those guys still want to be on the fucking bench after you're getting pounded again on the road? Like, no, none of them want to be there. Sit with them, pull out the beanie, pouty eyes, whatever. And
deal with it.
And take it. Yeah, exactly. Take the scrutiny. Just be with the guys. So I didn't like that, and honestly, it made me really weary because I bet on the Jets to win this series. So I mean,
yeah, me too.
Thank God for the heroics in Game 7. But I did not feel confident going into that Game 7 for them. Like, just like no Scheifele obviously was a big deal in the Game 6. But look, I mean, the rest of the team has to play better. To be fair to a lot of the forwards on the Jets, like I was listening to some of their post-game interviews, and Cole Perfetti specifically, they were taking accountability. They were saying they needed to be better. Obviously, you're going to say you want to burn the game tape, but it's like, geez, you got to burn all the road game tape. But I like the way they responded. I don't know about you, but I like when guys take accountability.
Mm-hmm. So do we want to go the Game 7 here? Yeah.
We probably should.
Yeah, just to keep it in order here. But I think my main takeaway from the series, even though the Jets come away with it, I have no trust in this team. Like no trust of this team whatsoever. Like they barely edge past this Blues squad, and I just think they're gonna have a really hard time in round 2 there against Dallas. Like I wouldn't favor them at all. Like I don't think any of us have ever been sold this team at any point in the season, right? President's Trophy winners, but they're just not really built for the playoffs. Yeah.
Justin, here's what I will say. I was critical of the Winnipeg Jets heading into the playoffs. I never thought that this was a roster that's going to win a Stanley Cup just because I don't think they have enough talent. Too reliant on the goaltending and the defense. And, obviously the goaltending hasn't been great in the playoffs. But I will say that was, such a gutsy performance.
Oh, it was. To give him credit. Yeah.
Kyle Connor, in the 4 games that they won, Kyle Connor was absolutely outstanding in this series. He showed up big every time he needed to. And so for there to be no Mark Scheifele in the game last night, to see the way Nemestikov and Lowry stepped up playing, first and second line center, which neither of those guys.
Freddie was outstanding.
Neither of those guys should be, but just for those two alone to step up and have to play much bigger roles, it was gutsy, man. And then the Perfetti 2-goal performance, Kyle Connor. You could just keep talking about it. Kyle Connor played 36 minutes last night.
Wow.
Had 3 assists, 7 shots on net. That fires me up. It's just, Justin, I don't think they have the roster to beat Dallas.
No. The Dallas is not the Blues, right? I know the Blues won that hot streak then this season. Everybody likes to reference there, but this is just not a team. It's the team they should beat. They did, but barely. Literally, it was close they could get without beating them. They were 1.6 seconds away from not doing so. So it was a very clutch goal there from Perfetti, obviously, and set us up for 2 overtimes. And good to see him get the win there and show up in the clutch. And Hellebuyck did, to his credit, when it mattered there in the overtime, he did finally step up. That's better late than never, right? He got his revenge on Binnington for the 4 Nations. Still not the best game from him, but if they could get better performances for him, maybe they have a chance. But I just don't think so. I think the Dallas team is too good. We saw against Colorado. I think if they could dethrone them, they could beat anybody, and that includes Florida even.
It was a really shaky start for Hellebuyck, letting in the 2 early goals and whatever.
That second goal was atrocious.
The second goal was really, don't get me wrong, it was a terrible turnover from Kyle Connor in the neutral zone. Atrocious turnover. But, you got to make that save. The Vezina.
It's like a wrist up from the blue line.
You're going to win the Vezina. You might win the Hart. You got to come up with that save. I don't care about the turnover. Make the fucking save. He doesn't. But then he did get better as the game went on.
He locked in.
He made the saves he had to in overtime, and it ended up being enough. But I want to give more credit to the guys.
The squad. They bailed him out as much as he did. Yeah.
Because Josh Morrissey gets injured too early on in this game. He only played 2 minutes. Gets injured, and then Neil Pionk. This guy's stats were crazy. I think he played 46 minutes or something ridiculous last night. Let me get this. Yeah, over 46 minutes. He also had 3 assists. That's just absurd. He played 2 games. He played 2 games last night after the Jets lose their best defenseman, and so literally all across the lineup, every single guy that needed to step up did when they had to, and so. It's positives for the Winnipeg Jets. It's just you're playing the Dallas Stars now.
And I find it funny too. Both squads lost their best forward and best defenseman. They were without them in the game 7 there. They found a way to prevail. But I think both of them hopefully will get their squads back and fully healthy here. But I just think you look at these squads stacked up against each other, and Dallas has the edge pretty much everywhere. And I would include goaltending there. If it were me and our Team USA, I'd be starting Otter, not Hellebuyck, in the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah, Otter looked really good, in my opinion, in the first round. Look, it's a completely new lifeline for Connor Hellebuyck. That late goal from Perfetti and then the Lowry double overtime winner, it gave him new life, right? If he comes in and gets back to that save percentage that we're used to seeing during the regular season and those usual Connor Hellebuyck performances, and he takes care of the puck a little bit better. He can make people forget this. He's just got to turn it around, though.
Yeah.
Because, if this persists, of course, people are going to keep talking about it. Yeah. You can't not acknowledge it. You just can't. And that was kind of my whole thing with Tassos yesterday on the show. Is if this persists and he's just consistently putting up, an 8-15, it's going to be rough. So
And he's their MVP. Like your best players have to be your best players in the playoffs if you want any shots. So it's like I think it's reasonable to expect that from Hellebuck. Like you said, it's a guy who could be winning a heart. Definitely a Vezina. Like it's fair to expect that type of performance from him. He might not be as good as he was in regular season. It's hard to replicate that in the playoffs, but just be competent. Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, the overtime helped out his stats a little bit, taking more shots. He was in 897. So if he got one more save, he would have gotten to that 900 save percentage. But I mean, dude, what did he finish the series with? I knew he was
It's definitely
815 heading in.
yeah, it was like around 800, I think, probably like just under 850 if I had to guess. So, and what's pretty telling right there is best game he still didn't put up a 900 save percentage. I know there was one game maybe he let it one, but that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, and now joining the show is David Dwork. As we mentioned earlier, he's the host of the hockey show on the Dan Le Batard Network. David, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So we were just kind of wrapping up Jets Blues talk from last night. What were your thoughts on the game? I mean, magic, Game 7 magic. Does it get better than that?
No, I just like the night before. I thought, two like, whatever periods, and then it just went 0 to 100 in the third period and gave everybody exactly what they wanted. So, I mean, that's amazing. I think Dominic Moore put out a tweet last night saying that like, in the first 107 years of the NHL, that happened 3 times, and in the last 2 days, it happened
Oh
twice.
my
So
gosh.
it's
That's
like,
unreal.
yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I was loving it. I was on my couch just going crazy.
We're so spoiled. What did you make of the Jets bouncing back? Obviously, the home team's winning every single game in this series. There's the Hellebuck narrative there. But I think for me, the biggest thing I took away from the game last night is the way that all the forwards on the Jets stepped up, with Scheifele being out. How did you feel about the performance of Lowry and Perfetti and Kyle Connor?
Gritty, unbelievably, just like getting down into the dirty areas, like especially like Connor and Perfetti. I think as that game went on, they were getting more and more hands on. They were getting more physical below the circles, and that's what you had to do because St. Louis was just out muscling them so much in the series and really dominating the area between the circles and down by the net. So I thought it was nice to see Winnipeg kind of take that shot in the face in the first period and bounce back and build back because that's what you want in a game 7. But no, it was really good. Now I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to keep it going against Dallas, who maybe won't be as physical as St. Louis, but certainly a bit faster, a bit more skilled.
So that seems like the next logical question. Do you think they'll be able to keep up with Dallas? Yeah.
I don't know. I when like looking at that series from like the outside, I'm just thinking Ottinger versus Hellebuck. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Two great top sixes, assuming Scheifele will be okay. I don't know what the situation is with him, but I mean these are teams that they've been building toward it all year. Dallas, we thought they were going to be kind of what Winnipeg ended up being. So I'm glad that it's happening. I wish it was a conference final, but I feel like we say that the first 2 rounds every year.
Yeah.
Who do you think's more important to their team? Morrissey to the Jets or Miro Heiskanen to the Stars?
Oof. I mean, right now I'd probably say Morrissey, just because the Stars just beat Colorado without Heiskanen in the lineup, and you would think
Yeah.
like they're just going to get better when he gets back.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're both so key to what these teams do. It's amazing that they're getting through, playoff series, playoff games without them. So hopefully everybody's healthy for the second round. That's all I want in the playoffs, just health and beating the crap out of each other.
I completely agree. Yeah, it just like it sucks when you get these banger series and then there's like an
There's an asterisk.
because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this guy was out for this guy, this team. This guy was out for this team. So I'm completely with you, especially as just like a neutral fan. You want to see the teams at full strength.
Yes.
Before we do more Western playoff talk, I think we should head over to the East in your Florida Panthers. Obviously, you guys making relatively quick work of the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. You got the Maple Leafs here in the second round. But how did you feel about the Panthers' performance in the first round? Was it? Do you think it was easy? Would you say? I know Matthew Tkachuk had his comments saying, I don't know if this is really a rivalry, back to back, 5-game gentleman sweeps. But what did you make of that first round?
I don't think it was easy. I don't think anybody in the Panthers room thought it was easy. I think they were a better team than they were last year. I think it was a more contentious series than it was last year,
Mm-hmm.
which is why the games maybe got away from being a little bit closer than we saw last season, where I think 4 of the 5 were 1-goal games, and this time I don't think any of them were 1-goal games. Maybe one of them. But I mean, that's what you get when you get teams that just hate each other. And I mean, we saw it up in the Ottawa Toronto series, whereas, they don't have the playoff history, but God, they play each other so much. They're in such close proximity that between the fans and the players, nobody likes each other. And that's definitely what's grown here between the Panthers and the Lightning. I think Kachuk may have been kind of taking a jab because in the last two playoffs, Florida's on 8-2 against the Lightning and kind of taken them out a little unceremoniously in terms of 5-game series, but both series were very tight, very scary. And Paul Maurice kind of he goes back to the two Boston series that Florida played in back-to-back years when they lost and then they won the Cup final. The first Boston series, he said it was incredibly heavy. The second Boston series, he said it was incredibly nasty. And he said that's what happened with Tampa this time around. Whereas with last year's series, a little bit more physical, a little bit tight checking. This year, there was just contention on the ice. Like nobody, I mean, you saw how the hits played out and the comments afterwards and Hagel and Ekblad and Kachuk and all that. So it was the only gripe I have is that it was a first round series. I want to go back to one
same
versus
as
eight.
Dallas and Colorado. Yeah, it shouldn't have been a first round series, right?
I feel like we're beating a dead horse with that at this point because everything that we've heard from the league is that they have no inclination to change anything. They're happy with it as is. But yeah, no, it was fun. I part of me would like to see it again next year, but then part of me thinks, we don't want to have another Oilers Kings situation on our hands.
Yeah. How do you feel about round two versus the Leafs? Do you think they want Florida?
I think they wanted to get out of the first round, and Florida was the destination of that train. So it's logical to think that, but I don't think anybody wants Florida right
No.
now. That's just what they've built to be, and credit to Bill Zito and Paul Maurice for what they've built there. But Florida, they've earned their spot on the top of the mountain, and it'll be a lot of credit to anybody that knocks them off right now, just because they look like such a formidable opponent. I mean, Toronto, I think they're a better team now than they were 2 years ago when they played in the second round, and Florida beat them 5 games. I think Toronto, they're a little bit more structured, a little bit more patient of a team, as Paul Maurice kind of pointed out this morning, or I think yesterday before they left for Toronto. So it should be a fun series. I would think that it's probably going to go 6 or 7 just because they played each other tight. But with the Panthers, like once they start punching you in the face, it takes a special kind of opponent to fight back. And we saw what Edmonton did during the final last year. I don't think anybody saw that fight coming, so I wouldn't put it past Toronto at all. But we'll see how these next 2 games go. I think if Toronto, obviously you're the home team, so you want to win both games at home. But I think a split would be something that everybody would be pretty happy with.
One of the big changes I feel like with this Toronto roster is how sound they've gotten defensively. It's just a bunch of like responsible veteran defensemen back there. How do you think those guys are going to do breaking the puck out against this tenacious, fierce, insane Florida Panthers forecheck?
Well, it won't be easy. I mean, fortunately for Toronto, they've got a guy there in Oliver Ekman-Larsson who can give them maybe a little bit of an insight into maybe not how to do it, because I'm sure Florida's changed things a little bit since last season. But just the effort that it's going to take, the relentlessness that you have to deal with when it comes to Florida and their forecheck. I mean, it's not going to be easy at all. Toronto, you talk about guys, they've got McCabe, they've got Benoit. Riley's been, pretty solid for them. But in terms of offensive capabilities, we'll see how well that they're able to kind of roll when Florida is basically draped over them like Doctor Strange's his cloak or his cape or whatever it's called. That thing that comes. I was watching the movie last night and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But no, I mean that's kind of gonna be what it comes down to. I think in this series is gonna be how well Toronto responds to Florida's suffocating tight gap 5-man defense, and if they can find a way around it, which Tampa and their league best offense couldn't really do, that'll be a big boost for them. But I'll believe it when I see it.
So we're Blackhawks fans over here. What's your thoughts on the impact of Seth Jones so far in these playoffs? Yeah.
He's been a great fit. Florida definitely targeted him as somebody that would come into their systems and kind of seamlessly transition and play well, and it's been pretty good. When he first got here, it was solid. They were able to kind of shield him a little bit until Ekblad got suspended, and then his minutes skyrocketed. But he's handled that in stride. There's been no issue at all in terms of like he's taking a little bit of time to get adjusted. I think it's only kind of getting better. And what we're seeing as he gets more adjusted and understands the systems is the offensive capabilities are starting to show a little bit more. The breakouts are getting a little bit faster. He understands where these routes are going, so he can just find guys in their spots, because Florida, that's kind of what they do, is everybody knows where everybody else is supposed to be on the ice. So when Jones starts to get that to muscle memory and ingrained, it's only going to flourish. But so far, I mean, it's been a great fit. Hopefully for your guys' sake, it's great, beneficial both ways because I know you
Yeah.
Spencer Knight was pretty solid for you guys down the
Oh
stretch, and
yeah.
on a
Yeah.
team that wasn't great defensively,
We
but
love Spencer Knight.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure you saw that there's a lot of upside there, and he's got
Oh,
a ton of goaltending talent. So hopefully it ends up working out both ways, and Seth Jones becomes Florida's next great defenseman, and Spencer Knight becomes the Chicago goaltender that brings them back to glory.
yes, sir.
Seth Jones really is like a perfect fit, I feel as though, for that team. Just because we're seeing what you get from Seth Jones, like a guy that can play 25 minutes a night, just munch minutes, reliable enough defensively, good puck mover. And so, yeah, I think that it's kind of making Bill Zito look like a genius with all these Ekblad suspensions too, because now you got a guy that can play those minutes if he needs to. So no Ekblad for game one. I don't think it's going to be a problem. But how did you feel about that trade when it initially happened? I know we've got some hindsight now and we're a couple months removed. But when you first saw that, what was your initial reaction?
Finally, I think just because I've been hearing about the Florida's interest and that man particularly for a bit, and just kind of waiting for it to happen because as the more you thought about it, the more it was like, well, this is a really good fit, and everything that Bill Zito has done since he's been hired, he's been able to make these exact kind of moves. So it was just like, okay, there we go. And what really kind of I wouldn't say turned me because I thought it was a good move on the surface, but what really sold me into the what Florida, I guess, was thinking about it was when you started hearing from Maurice and Zito and some of the guys behind the scenes just speaking about how much they wanted this to happen, how they targeted that specific player as somebody who they feel is going to be an all-star, an elite defender in their systems. Like it was like a draft kind of thing where like you get your guy, you go get him. He was on their target board for a while. So I think to see it kind of happening the way it's been, that it's working out just as they all thought, it feels good just because I'm a guy that loves a happy ending. So to kind of see it all working out and to see all their hard work kind of paying off, it's pretty cool.
Fair enough. So I'm a big I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Panthers guy. They're kind of like
So am I.
They're like my team away from the since we've been dog shit the past couple years. They just remind me so much of like the Dynasty Hawks teams from the early 2010s. My favorite thing about this Cats team this year and what I feel separates them from every other team in the playoffs is the depth. And specifically that third line, I feel like is better than most second lines in the playoffs right now. How do you feel about those guys? The Lisserine, Lindell, Marchand line I'm speaking of course. What did you make of their first round performance, and how big do you think they're going to be down the stretch here for the Cats?
Very big, just because, as you said, they're a third line that's not a third line.
Yeah.
Anton Lundell is probably a top six center on 90 teams in the league just because he's so good both ways. He's 23 years old. He's only going to get better. I mean, we all know what Brad Marchand can do. Even at this stage in his career, it's still impressive what his hockey IQ and his hands can do. And then Eetu Luostarinen is he's a defensive specialist that nobody talks about. The hidden gem from their Vincent Trocheck trade a few years back when Trocheck went to Carolina. It's really cool. And last year when the Panthers went on their run, we talked about how improved the depth was from the previous year when they lost to Vegas and when they got injury decimated and they were basically running AHL guys there for the end of the final. To see the way that it's built over now 2 to 3 years to where now they're basically 5 lines deep, where they have a fourth line, a perfectly capable NHL ready playoff fourth line that's not playing because
they haven't been really in the last couple.
No, I'm not even talking about the fourth line on the ice. I'm talking about the 3 forward scratches that aren't even getting on the ice, that they're all good enough to be part of the lineup too. That's what Bill Zito has built. He's stacked his deck. It's pretty impressive. And you guys talked about before just the foresight to bring in Seth Jones, but even without Jones or without Ekblad, like they've got a guy in Uvis Balinskas who they targeted from the Czech Extraliga 2 summers ago, who's now become an NHL caliber, stay-at-home, solid defenseman with offensive upside. So it's like the foresight, the vision to see not just what's happening in North America, but across the globe and to bring them in. Like Bill Zito and his staff have earned their spot, and the way that this team is performing, I just always got to give that off front office and their staff and their scouts credit, because what they've built here, it's just so impressive.
Do you think this team's better than the last 2 years?
I was just going to ask that. Is this the deepest team of the Chuck era?
Yeah, for sure.
I think
without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just it is crazy. Like, and it feels like now the past couple years they've done the same thing where they like it's a bit of a revolving door in the bottom six and maybe your bottom pair defensively, but they keep finding these guys that just feel like gloves. And it's like Sam Iskevich is another
players,
guy who's been able to play up and down the lineup. I mean, this Panthers team is electric, but I don't know. We'll see. This is an interesting round for me with the Leafs, because at the end of the day, the Leafs do have insane high-end talent. They can hurt you at any moment. And so you said Panthers in 7, or did you say Panthers in 6?
I'm feeling Panthers in 6, but to be fair, I said 7 games for the Tampa series. So, what do I know? But I hope that it's a long, fun series. And I think what you were just saying, like, that's what's awesome and amazingly frustrating about Toronto, is that they maybe have the most potential outside of a team that has Connor McDavid of anybody in the NHL, just because of how much talent they have. And I don't think Anthony Stolarz gets talked about. I know he's getting a lot of attention, but I still don't think it's enough, because I think he's been so spectacular for the Leafs, and they don't talk about it enough because they give credit to the other guys, which is fine. But you know what?
5 years, if we're being honest. Like, this
No, that's what they've built toward. The
Yeah,
question is going to be what happens like in a year or two when they have to replace Sergei Bobrovsky, because the last few years he's become everything they hoped he would be and more when they signed that contract back in 2019. But he's 36 years old. Next year is the last year on that deal. So, and now that Spencer Knight isn't here anymore, they've got, some shoes to fill. So that's going to be something to look at. But in terms of like their roster, I mean, especially forward wise, and I mean, now, you got Seth Jones, you got Forsling locked up. So they've got a lot of their core locked down for the next several years. So yes, they absolutely should be in this position for a while. But Bill Zito's going to have to keep doing what he's been doing. And I mean, he's like the guy I don't know who's leading the MLB in batting average this year, but he's just like that guy every year. He just keeps, knocking doubles in the gap.
Yeah.
What you mentioned how big of a piece Bobrovsky is to this team. What'd you make of his performance in the first round? I felt as though he was a little shaky at times. He made big saves when he had to. Don't get me wrong. I think he had finished with like a 902 save percentage or something. What did you make of him? How good does he need to be for the rest of the playoffs for them to win again?
No, he needs to be amazing. No doubt about it. Okay. He needs to be as good as he's been the last 3 playoffs, really, because even the year before they went to the final against Vegas, when they got knocked out in the second round, they got swept by Tampa, actually, the year they won the President's Trophy. I thought Sergei Bobrovsky in the 10 games that he played that playoff was their best player. In that series against Washington, where they got out of the first round for the first time in forever, to quote Elsa and Anna, as I just watched that with my kids. It's just, he's got to be their best guy. And I think he'll continue to be. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And what you guys were describing from that first round is basically what you see a lot in Panthers games during the season, because Bob will take maybe 20-ish shots a game. He's not out there, having to stand on his head and pour out sweat the whole game. But at the same time, he's got to come up with 3 or 4 huge saves, because that's that's hockey. It's just Florida does a really good job limiting the big picture in terms of possession, zone time. But you still need your goalie to come up big. So he's going to have to continue to be that guy. There's no doubt about it. But again, as long as Florida continues to play their defensive in front of him, keep the rebounds away, second chance opportunities, get swept to the corners, as long as they keep doing that and keep protecting their goaltender, I think Bob will continue to produce the way he has.
You've been on it with the reference game today. I like it.
That's how I roll, man.
So Justin's the exact same way. Justin is a reference, a pop culture movie reference merchant over here.
Yes, sir.
David, what should the Panthers do about the Ekblad and the Bennett contract situation after this season?
I think they should re-sign both of them. I think that's the goal. I know that they've been having on again, off again during the season. They've been talking, Bennett's going back and forth, so that's been in the works. I know Ekblad wants to stay here. I would think that there would probably, based off of what he's made, maybe potentially a bit more of a hometown discount than you would think with Bennett, just because Bennett may be due a little bit of a bump, but they're both right around that 30-year age, so it's weird. And both also, just like you've seen with basically every other guy that's signed here, right down the line from Carter Verhaeghe, Gus Forsling, Kachuk, so many of these guys have taken less money to stick around. Even Anton Lundell, he signed long term because they want to not only be a part of what's this, but they want to make sure that they're giving the team money to build and to continue so they can continue to supplant. And obviously, the cap going up as much as it is seriously going to help things out. But I mean, just looking at each guy's importance to what they do, like Bennett is so key just because he just kind of like Marchand, he personifies the way that the Panthers want their forwards to play.
Yeah.
Physical, fast, skilled, not afraid to get down low. Like Bennett does everything and he's great at it. And then there's, the also like the non-hockey stuff that Bennett brings to the table
Of course.
that, nobody forgets
The fun
about when it
stuff.
comes to the playoff time. Yeah, exactly. But then Ekblad, like people think that Ekblad for some reason, well, not for some reason, people think that Ekblad has fallen off in years just because his point numbers have gone down a bit. And that's 100% by design. He understands that he's taken on a different role that they've asked him to take on, that Paul Maurice has talked about this. And Ekblad is no problem just becoming this elite defensive player. And you just watch him for a game, and you'll see him shut down rushes, and you'll see him turn down plays in the offensive end. What he does is pretty exceptional. His importance to the team, I think, particularly because he spent a decent amount of time out of the lineup this year. I think that it was just kind of like, oh yeah, they're a lot better when he's on the ice with them. So I think Zito and his guys know that they're both pretty key. They can probably get both of them also for relatively reasonable numbers in a rising cap era. So I'd be kind of surprised if both of them weren't still with the Panthers next year.
Oh, so you're expecting it? You're expecting them to work something out?
Yeah, yeah. Unless like things go south for either or both of them in the next couple months, which I mean they're already in the second round of the playoffs, so you would think things are pretty good across the board, no matter what happens from here on out. So I would be surprised if it doesn't work out for both of them.
Which team scares you the most in terms of taking Florida off the top of the mountain? Yeah.
I, I mean, if you would ask me, 2 weeks ago, I would have said Tampa probably.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair.
so it's tough, right? Like of the remaining teams, I mean, Washington kind of reminds me of the Panthers President's Trophy winning team a couple of years ago. I want to see what happens when Washington runs into a heavier team.
Yeah.
And if they can, not saying that they can't, I just want to see it happen. But that's a team that I don't know about. Carolina, Carolina scares me kind of like Toronto scares me because I feel like they never reach their potential and
they're due.
Carolina's more.
It feels like they're bound to. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're so well coached. They've got big physical, great defenders. Like even Freddie goes down, which sucks. But Kochetkov is a great young goaltender. If his confidence gets up, he could certainly carry them. But I mean, yeah, Tampa's just the team that I was like, oh man, I'm glad that get that out of the way in the first round. If you get past them, it'll be a little bit easier because imagine Tampa with momentum in a conference final, that would have scared me. But right now, I think as long as Florida plays their game and continues to stay healthy, they should kind of continue on this path. And until we see somebody rise up and say, nope, we're going to take this from you. We're going to out physical you. We're going to take down your goaltender. We're going to get through these giant defensemen. I'll be very impressed when it happens, just because Florida has, like I said, they've built themselves up into what they are now. And that's what happens, right? So whoever's going to take them down, bring it on. My only hope, if they do make it to the final again, and Winnipeg is still there, Edmonton is still there, but God, just go somewhere with direct flights. Last year's final was such a nightmare. Just anywhere with direct flights from South Florida, please.
Yeah. Wasn't that geographically the furthest final of two teams or something like that? Yeah.
It was.
That was crazy.
Which that's all that doesn't matter. What the distance does, it's having to get off planes, and there was a ridiculous weather situation that happened that the week of everybody flying out there, and it was just so the memories are still the wounds are fresh. So and I know Winnipeg, there's no direct flights as we check. So Dallas would be nice.
Dallas, I think it's going to be Dallas. So hopefully you should be fine there.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were thinking last year. And then Edmonton ended up taking them out of the conference final. So we'll see.
That's true. You bring up that Washington Capitals team. I'm not going to lie. I've not been a believer.
Yeah, no.
I've loved the vibes, rooting for Ovi this year to break the goal record. I just don't think they have enough high-end talent. I didn't like the way honestly, I know they took care of Montreal in 5, but I didn't like the way they looked in a lot of those games. It felt like it could have been Montreal's game, pretty much all of them. Game 1, blowing a 2-goal lead. I just felt like the game management was poor. What do you make of the second round? Do you lean towards the Canes there?
I do, mostly because I think they've been there. I have more faith in their veterans. I have a little bit more faith in their head coach. No disrespect to Spencer Carberry, because I would have had him if we voted on Jack Adams. I would have had him at the top of my ballot just because he did such a great job this year.
Yeah.
But I think in playoff time, I would give the edge to Carolina in that series. If Washington makes it out and we end up with like a Panthers Capitals conference final, that would probably be a scary matchup because to think of what the Capitals are going to have to do to get past Carolina, uh, in addition, because you mentioned like obviously they got Ovi, but the contributions they got from guys like PLD and Jacob Chikrin was such a great signing for them, and obviously Logan Thompson was, I remember being at the draft and it was wait, this guy's signing autographs, he just got traded. So his path has been really cool to watch play out this year.
Blackhawks legend Dylan Strome as well has been, I
Yeah,
think,
he's
their best player.
huge season
Yeah.
for sure. So like it does kind of remind me, like I said, of that Panthers President's Trophy winning team because they weren't as seasoned. They didn't have quite as much high-end talent, and they were just finding exciting ways to win games, but you didn't necessarily feel like they were always the best team. And I think Washington, they were scary for a good part of the regular season. It's just the playoffs are a different beast. So I'm excited to see how this series plays out, especially if it becomes very competitive, because I think that would be awesome. But like I said, I need to see it first.
Mhm. Yeah, fair.
Okay, so then going over to the Western Conference, I guess the last series that we haven't really talked about much yet, we got Jack Eichel versus Connor McDavid, Vegas Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers. What do you see there? I thought that I cannot trust the Edmonton Oilers at all, but I'm too scared to pick against them because I respect Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl too much.
Can't bet against them. Yeah.
As long as they keep scoring 5-6 goals a game, they'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Easy.
Can they keep doing that though?
I hope not. That would go against like everything I believe in as a hockey goaltender that's been watching the Stanley Cup.
You don't want a Florida Edmonton rematch.
No, I mean, look, it'll be entertaining. It'd be really cool, but I wouldn't mind Florida Vegas rematch. I wouldn't mind Florida. I mean, I wouldn't mind Florida against anybody, but really, all the Final Four would be exciting, minus the travel for the Canadian teams. But no, like Edmonton Vegas is a series that obviously we haven't really seen this matchup a whole lot of it. I'm excited to see a lot of top end talent here. Vegas, if they're starting to reach their potential, I'm a big fan of Aiden Hill. I love Aiden Hill. I think he's a great young goaltender, and if he catches fire the way he did in 23, that's pretty scary to think about with Vegas's talent on the front end. And Vegas, what I always get talked about with Vegas is their giant defensemen. They're big fit, like they've got such a big, scary back line that moves and they're mobile.
And they're loaded, yeah.
Yeah, so I maybe it's more excited for that series than any of the others in the second round. I have no idea how to pick that. I may just think Vegas is home, right? So, give the team with Game 7 at home the edge, like Vegas in 7 if I have. But you pick against Edmonton and they're 12 goals a game. It's like, how do you pick that series? I'm just glad I don't have to write about it. I don't have to do anything but watch it and consume it and enjoy it as a hockey fan because it should be good.
Yeah, I'm completely with you though. Like I don't know like how to even explain it because it's like we see time and time again every single year the team with the better defense normally wins these series, right? And the Edmonton Oilers are awful, especially at home. Like they've been dreadful defensively. They're I mean they're riding Calvin Pickard for God's sakes. But it's like I could still totally see them beating this absolutely defensively stacked Golden Knights team.
Just because they're the two best players in the world. Yeah.
No doubt. And that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Like, Edmonton's not winning an under series. Like that will not happen.
No.
But I wouldn't really want that series to be under anyway. Like I want, overs. I want 7 goals a game. I want us questioning the goaltending. Like that's what I don't know. It was fun for me watching that first round series. I did not expect the way it went down with the Kings at all. I thought this was going to be the Kings' year to get past them, which kind of impressed me a little bit more about the Oilers, and got some question marks about the Kings that I don't want to get into just because I really thought this was going to be their year to do something. But
you sound like Lee over there. Yeah, he was convinced.
After Game 4, I came on this show and promised a Game 5 win for the LA Kings, and they put up the most stinker of a performance I've seen in recent memory. And they just made me look terrible, to be honest.
That was the game.
Well, I had no. Where did that come from? Like even games 3 and 4, LA looked like the better team for like 80% of those games. They just couldn't hold on to the lead.
Yeah, it was Edmonton kind of overwhelming at the end. So you think they're going home to where they've been lights out all year, the best home team in the league.
Yeah,
and then they did that. So when that happened, I knew the series was over.
Yeah.
When they lost that game at home, I was like, that's the way that it's just kind of been spiraling for the Kings and their defense is kind of falling apart. When that happened in their barn, it was, ugh, I felt terrible for them,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Do you credit the Oilers getting through that series more to the Oilers' fantastic offense led by their superstars, or was
the Kings throwing it away?
Yeah, the Kings just collapsing.
I think it's kind of like one fed into the other. I think Edmonton's offense was just so overwhelming that the Kings, for whatever reason, not like they hadn't done it during the regular season, but for whatever reason, it just they just started moving too much. Like they were out of position. I don't know. I can't explain it. I just watching the team that I watched a lot this year. They did not look anything like the team as the playoffs went on. They did not look anything like the team that was so dominant during the regular season. It was disappointing.
Mm.
You can tell I was rooting for the Kings. I really wanted to see them succeed this year.
Yeah, it's like fourth time's a charm. Surely they'll get it done now.
I find it funny.
Yeah, Justin's a hater. Justin loves to see people fail. David, we appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Last thing we'll ask. I assume you're going to be picking the Panthers to come out of the East. What do you think the Stanley Cup matchup is? Who do you see coming out of the West then?
Oh man, well, considering I just kind of backtracked on every single team in the West, I could put any of them out there.
Nobody.
I'm just gonna go with what I think would be fun, and well, let's see. We got Vegas 2 years ago. We got Colorado. I'm saying we now, so you really got me leaning into it. Vegas 2 years ago, Edmonton last year. So how about let's do Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two best friend head coaches up against each other. Yeah. An easy geographical situation. Two great goaltenders. One kind of at the start of his career. Not so much a Lottinger anymore. He's been around, but Bob in the twilight of his career.
Yep. There's narratives there.
I think Garrett Bettman would love a Florida-Dallas final. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, maybe not.
That's another reason to root for it.
There we go. Yeah.
I think there's one former Panther on the Stars. I think Alex Petrovic is the only one. I'm trying to go off the dome.
Oh, Petrovic. I recall him from 2015. Kane. Yeah.
Well, that was the big expansion piece. The whole
that started the LTIR thing. Yeah, that's right.
Panthers have come a long way, man.
They have. Yeah. They have, and enjoy it now. You never know how long it's going to last. I think if you can re-sign Ekblad and Bennett, you probably got another 5 years, but you never know what happens. So you're in the glory days now. Enjoy them, sir. Thank you so much,
brother.
Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Oh man, my pleasure. Anytime. Just reach out.
Sounds good. All right, that was David Dwork, everybody. We really appreciate him coming on the show. I'm excited for this Panthers Toronto series. I thought you were gonna interject and be like Panthers in 5. I don't care.
Oh yeah, I never did. Yeah, well, I try to be respectful and not be like, But yeah, Panthers in 5.
Panthers in 5. Yeah.
I joked about them sweeping the Leafs. I do think the Leafs will win at least a game this series, and I could definitely see them making it closer than they did 2 years ago. Like I could definitely see it being a six gamer or even a 7 gamer. But nah, I think Florida's got this covered. If they got Tampa in 5, I think Leafs in 5 seems pretty logical. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think we're going to hit a quick break here. We've got a Mount Rushmore coming up on the other side of the break, and then we're going to spend a little bit more time, I think, teeing up the rest of the playoff second round here. So keep it here. Sir. We'll be back in a sec. Welcome back, Chicago Hockey Radio.
What a banger.
I mean, banger every time. It just gets me absolutely wired to do the second half of this show. You guys know the song. You love the song. Anyway, we've got something important to talk about before we hit a Mount Rushmore here. Kind of slipped my mind. There was a pretty big game the other night between the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. I was working, but I won't lie, I had it up on my phone. Like, I watched like the entire third period basically at work while I was cleaning glasses, just keeping my eye on the Colorado Avalanche debacle. You can start us off because you got to watch the entire game. One question I will ask you to kind of tee it up for you is how are you feeling about the game and the Avs after the Nathan MacKinnon goal to start the third period?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought it was over. Like, after that goal, I thought that was, signed, sealed, delivered. The Avs had it, but I forgot the most important rule of hockey: the dangerous 2-goal lead, the most dangerous lead.
True.
Just like the Jets Blues game as well. It's the same situation, and this one, it teed that one up. And I should have remembered that, man. I should have remembered it. I will circle back to last week's show. I believe it was this time on Monday. I was slandering a certain Dallas Stars player, Mikko Rantanen. I was like, oh, he has 1 assist in 4 games. He's done absolutely nothing all series. Whoops, that was a mistake. And that's what became personal for me. That's all I needed since Mikko Rantanen. He was watching The Last Dance to tee up Game 5, 6, and 7. And he dropped a hat trick against his former team and was the MVP of the series. I believe he leads the playoffs of 12 points, I believe. So he had 11 points in 3 games since I said that on Chicago Hockey Radio. So you're welcome, Dallas Stars fans. And my bracket says goodbye. It's toast. It's dead because I had the Avs win the cup. So there you go. I was wrong, and the Stars prevail once again. They know a thing or two about being this Avs team. They did it last year in 7 games in the second round. I know they've done it before. I think 2020 as well, a couple other years. So they're this team's kryptonite, man. They're like the Detroit Pistons for the Avs. They just can't get past this team. I don't know what it is. And MacKinnon sounded pretty despondent after the fact. It's like, man, they were without Haskin, they were without Robertson, and this is probably the best team I've had since the Cup team, and we still couldn't get past them. Like, yeah, I don't really know what you do, where you go from here. Like, I still think this Avs team, as long as you have that core intact, you're still going to be competitive. You're still going to be good. But, I mean, you're always going to have to go through this Dallas team. They just can't seem to be able to solve them. Yeah,
we'll get into the future and where the Avs go from here in a sec. Look, did I jinx it?
I think I jinxed it.
Did I jinx it again? Well, so I put out that video on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the Lee's Keys is the reason they lost. Yes.
And to be fair, the Lee's Keys video, I was kind of cooking early, I won't lie. Like, when I saw Logan O'Connor absolutely cook Thomas Harley on that shorthanded goal, the first goal for the Avs, I was like, ooh, I'm cooking, let me cook. And then the Avs power play went 0 for 3 and they blew a 2-goal lead. Dude, I just the Mikko Rantanen thing is so crazy. Like, that's one of the most iconic individual performances. Like, that's going to be in in like YouTube compilations for not just hockey, for like all of sports, to do it on the team. Great
revenge moments.
Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, you just can't script it better than that. And he had a secondary assist on the Wyatt Johnston goal.
Of course he did. Yeah.
But dude, I mean, all the stats that we knew coming into this one, like McKinnon's was 0-4 in Game 7s.
Their coach too.
Bednar was like 0-3 in Game 7s, and then
DeBoer never lost a Game 7. Like, and we wondered, it looked like it was finally going to reverse the other way, and nope. But here's one thing the Stars still don't have that the Avs do, is a cup. So I do think that first round win won't really mean a thing if they don't win the cup and go all the way. This team has been so close so many times, right? A lot of, conference finals and second rounds. They just haven't really been able to reach the top there, right? And they haven't really reached that final step. So I think this is probably the best team, the best chance they have to do so. So we'll see if they can go all the way here. I think they definitely have a shot for sure. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's like this series doesn't mean anything if the Dallas Stars don't win the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, they haven't done it yet with this core. I think you have to. Yeah.
I do think that the Dallas Stars are going to be really good for a long time because of, I mean,
bright future too.
Like they've got young guys, they've got guys in the 27 to 29 range, but I mean, this is Jamie Benn's last year. I know Tyler Sagan's still got a couple more years left on the deal, but who knows?
But you like to win one with those two, right? They've been around for that team for over a decade, right? It would suck for them to not get a ring there. Yeah.
And also, like, who knows what's going to happen with Matt Duchene? So,
yeah,
I mean, look, you get through the Avs without your best defenseman and one of your best forwards. It's cup or bust at this point because I
especially
really,
to get those two back, right? Yeah.
And I don't even think, and Tassos disagreed with me, but like, I don't even think they're really going to have a problem with any of the other teams in the West, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think they will with the Jets. The question is Vegas, Edmonton, I think would be a greater challenge, but I think they can handle both.
Yeah, I think they're better than both.
Yeah. Oh, they are. I agree.
They
should, but would you ever bet against if it's Edmonton? Would you bet against the Chiefs and McDavid and Vegas won a cup? So I agree with you. I think they're better than both. They should beat them, but I don't know. I think this Jets series, honestly, maybe I should have some concern. I don't. Like I know, like the Jets, I'm just not sold on that team. I know, they come away with that one. Like we all knew that they were going to come away with that first round, right? It was very close. They closer than we probably expected, and I just think they're going to have a hard time against Dallas. So it feels like you're already kind of thinking ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like with the way Jake Ottinger played in that first
so
round,
clutch.
I know he got peppered in a couple of games, but to go head to head with those Avs guys and play the way he did, the Avs struggled. The Avs really struggled on the power play, and I think it's
a big reason why. Yeah.
There's three factors. Like I think partially the Avs were just straight up not very good. Like they had a couple of 4-minute opportunities throughout this series that it just felt like they were wasteful at times. But then the Dallas penalty kill did play really well. But then Jake Ottinger just made big save after big save after big save. And so as we're gearing up for this second round matchup, it feels like all the narrative around Connor Hellebuck is that he's completely underperformed and that it's, whereas Jake Ottinger has absolutely
shows up in the clutch, in the big moments, the big games.
Yeah. So I don't know. Good luck to the Winnipeg Jets. But let's you brought it up earlier talking about the Colorado Avalanche and like what they do next year. Look, I was honestly a fan of a lot of the trades and guys they brought in. You could argue that maybe they gave up a lot of, assets to, create the team they did at the trade deadline. But it's like now that you get bounced in the first round,
it's like, it's all for nothing.
It's like the team's not going to be as good next year as they were this year, right?
Yeah, no, because all those assets probably aren't going to be there for the long haul, so it's going to be tough from there. But they will have Landeskog back for full time now, you would hope, so that should help. Definitely made a difference. But yeah, I don't know. Like probably not going to be as good, but they're still going to be competitive. They're still going to be a playoff team. They're still going to be one of the best teams in the league. So it really just comes down to matchups and all that. But yeah, it's going to be tough to get back to the top for sure. Yeah.
And because I mean it's not like they have a ton of cap space to really
to add
replace
these guys. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think the Landeskog bump will be very helpful for them, but like I don't think they're gonna keep Brock Nelson,
Yeah, no.
And so then it's like, all right, what are you doing at the center position? Like is everybody getting bounced up? Like is you got Charlie Coyle for another year? Is that gonna be your second line center next year?
I mean, great third line center. How about second line?
Yeah.
No.
So, and then also another thing is I don't know. Like obviously Bednar won the cup with them, but other than that, it's not like they've had like a
lot of playoff success. They haven't. They lost the first round 23, lost to the second round last year. They lost the first round this year, and before they won that cup in 2022, this team was known as a playoff choker, right? So it's really that one run in 2022, and that's kind of all they've had, which, look, you'll take a Stanley Cup, right? Like, you'll take that all day. But it's like, this is a team I look at that's like, this should be like a team that wins more than one, you would think, right? They have the tools there. They have the pieces. They have the core, right? But they said we have the repeat. Yeah.
I just can't help but feel like Bednar got out-coached by DeBoer in this series. I mean,
he was.
DeBoer relatively had his hands tied behind his back, missing the two guys that he was, and to do it again, and I think isn't this like the third time DeBoer's beaten Bednar in
Correct.
the play?
Yes.
Like,
yep.
That's kind of tough, man.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah.
I brought that up to Tassos the other day, and he's like, "No, they're not going to get rid of him." And like,
oh yeah, no, I don't think. Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, what is he, like the second longest tenured coach after John Cooper? I mean, he's achieved a lot. That team, a lot of success, right? They're still at the top. I mean, not quite the top, but close to the top, right? Like, I don't think there's enough there. Like similar to Cooper and Tampa. Like, no, like I don't think those two are going anywhere. No. Yeah.
I don't know. I just like if this continues, though,
that would be a nice option, though. If
yeah, right.
But,
I
but
mean,
no.
I wouldn't mind that guy. I think he's a good coach, but sometimes you see this where like certain guys aren't necessarily the best person to get the most out of a specific group.
Yeah, or just sometimes the matchup just isn't quite there for whatever reason. Just not able to solve that team, and the Stars seem to be that for the Avs. Man, and they're always there,
and it's not like they're going anywhere.
With this divisional format, you're kind of forced to. You got to be able to beat them.
There's probably an 80% chance they see them in the playoffs again next year.
Yeah, because the Stars, I look at their situation. No, like I'm not worried about them being competitive next year at all. Like they're always going to be. I think they have a long path forward here. So yeah, it's similar to the Kings-Oilers situation. They got to find a way to throw them. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of interesting stuff. It'll be interesting to see what they do over the summer and kind of what moves they make, and maybe it's kind of just like run it back and hope for a more favorable first round matchup, and then play Dallas in the second round. And
I guess, man, I just think the funniest thing is like the Avs, like they wrote their own obituary here this year. It's like if they just have figured out the Mikko Rantanen situation, this would have never happened. I mean, you think about that. They literally trade him to the team, and he wound up beating them themselves. Like, and also last year in 2024 is Matt Duchene who scored the overtime winner. It's always the former Avs. It's like, former Hawks always own us. Former Avs always seem to own them in the playoffs. I find that really funny. So, they're kind of responsible themselves for this. So I can't really feel too bad for them. Even though I'm an Avalanche fan, I do like that team. Like they're counted to be what the Panthers are to you. Like I was hoping for them. I was pulling for them. But at the same time, it's like, no, they put themselves in a situation. They got to find a way to get out of it. Yeah.
But did you not feel as though like this team was better?
Yeah.
Like
for most of the series too, but they didn't come away with it.
But also like after making the Rantanen trade, like, do you think the team was better pre-trading Rantanen? Like, I don't. Like, I did.
But I don't think it was just that though. Like, there's a lot of other moves though that happened. It wasn't just the Rantanen H's situation.
Oh, that's
like,
true.
Well, how would this team look if that trade didn't happen, but they made all the other moves? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But I agree with you. H's has been a good fit there. I think his speed works well with the system. So, it would have been different. I don't know. Who knows? But Stars probably wouldn't be as loaded. But yeah.
Yeah, we were making that joke yesterday. I really feel as though Mikko Rantanen would be a great addition for this Colorado Avalanche team.
He's just what they're missing, that power forward up front. And look what he's doing with that Stars team. Imagine what he'd be able to do with guys like McKinnon and McCarr. Yeah. Like, he'd probably be dangerous there. Probably putting up 100-plus points, winning cups. I guess we'll never know, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you were to get that guy, you should probably pay him what he wants just to keep him around, maybe.
Yeah, surely $200,000 wouldn't be the deal breaker there. Yeah. Honestly, as time has gone on, like I see it from his side. I know before when it initially happened, I was kind of like, "What's he doing?" But as I've heard more details about this case, it definitely feels like Colorado kind of sold this one. It was a mismanagement, is what it was. And Mikko took him a little while, but he eventually made him pay for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to make it's okay to admit, and find out new facts and change.
I was wrong, Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah,
I apologize.
No, it's all right. It's all right. You're forgiven. But good luck, Avs. I don't know. You got Natchez making $6.5 million. He's only going to be making that for another year. What are you going to have to pay him?
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, because he had a breakout season this year, and the way he looked at that squad, like he's gonna have a hell of a season next year, and that's just gonna be another. He could be making that type of money anyway, so who knows? That's gonna be a situation there.
Yeah, it's like you might be paying a guy like $12 million anyway.
It's gonna be the same situation, honestly. It very well could be. I mean, Natchez a full season with McKinnon. Like, yeah, I mean, who knows what he's gonna do next year? Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Any other thought? The only other thing is also Jack Drury was the one who took the penalty that led to the Wyatt Johnston goal.
Of course he was.
So it's just
of course.
That Mikko Rantanen trade cooked the Colorado. Like that trade alone literally lost them the series. just like
the trauma is just it's absolute cinema, man. Like, and I will say though, like, did I not sort of call this one though? Like on the Friday show, I kind of went back at some of my Monday comments and said I could totally see Renton having a masterclass performance in this game, and that's unfortunately exactly what happened. So, anyway, it is what it is.
All right. We've got a Mount Rushmore, a good one for you guys. And I do have to say, I won again. You won.
Yes, after a second.
Yes, I am cooking. I think that's 3 in a row for me that I've won.
You've won 3 in a row?
I do believe, yes.
So what's the gap to me now? Like 9 or something?
No, it's probably less than that. I think I'm like really close to Tassos now because the board out there is not updated. I need 8 more points on that board, and I had 13. So I think I might be like tied or really close to Tassos at least. So I'm closing the gap.
It's not over. You might not finish last.
Yeah. But without further ado, let's go to the Chicago Hockey Radio's Mount Rushmore of backup goalies.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Mount Rushmore time. It is the Mount Rushmore of backup goaltenders. This one, non-active goaltenders, so, retired guys. And with the first pick in the draft is the man on Zoom, Justin Lynch. And
I know exactly where I'm going. I mean, is he the best backup goalie of all time? Probably not, but he's legendary in the Blackhawks, amongst Blackhawks faithful. Probably the best Blackhawks goalie amongst those cup runs. Rest in peace. Give me the legend himself, Ray Emery.
Ray Emery, 1-1. It's a good pick.
Yeah, 2013 legend. It's a pander pick. That's I gotta go back to that because I've been losing lately, so I gotta get I gotta break this losing streak.
Right. Ray Emery, 1-1.
Whose turn is it?
It is Raven and Tim.
Classic.
All right, I think we're gonna go with our first pick, Glenn Healy.
Glenn Healy.
Tassos is stunned by that.
A little bit.
Yeah, wait, what? That was crazy.
Interesting.
Okay, with my first pick, I'm going to go with a guy who many consider to be the best statistical and also like the best backup goalie in NHL history. So I'm going to go with Bunny Larocque.
Bunny?
I was looking at him and did end up staying clear of that pick just because I didn't know if what's the word I'm looking for? Like
the definition.
Yeah, like requirements for what the picks could be. So
I'll look up Bunny. I think he's good to go.
I believe he is good, but I believe he started for a few years of his career. But please,
it's not going to be perfect with some of these, right? It's goalies who, for the majority of the career backups, they may have been a starter at some point. Some of them probably were, but as long as it wasn't for the majority of it, so I guess 41 games probably the cutoff, I'd imagine. Yeah.
All right. To you.
I get 2.
You get 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to take Scott Darling here.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick.
He was on my list.
And then I'm going to take another Blackhawks legend, Anton Khudobin.
Huh.
Back up his entire career.
Man, there's some good names out here. There are some good names on here. I'm going to go Marty Biron.
Good pick. I'm probably going to butcher the name, the pronunciation, but here we go. For our second pick, we're taking Curtis McKinley.
Curtis McElhinney?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
The uppercase E to the lowercase L throws me off so much.
McElhinney. Yeah.
All right. I think I know where they'll go next. He was a starter at various points, but from the majority of his career, I'd say it was a backup. I'm kind of shocked he hasn't been taken yet. He had some absolutely incredible seasons. He'd be Brian Elliott.
Does that meet the? Yeah, he probably does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, just about. Like, he definitely had some seasons as a starter, but I'd say for the most part, he was a backup. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna double
All right.
check. I'm gonna double check while. you
Yeah, he
make your
definitely
next
had
pick.
some. It's close, but I did the quick math, and I think he had more
Okay.
seasons below 41. But it was pretty close, to be fair.
I believe you,
to
but
be
I
fair.
don't at the same time.
Yeah, very close. All right. Next pick, another Pander pick. Like, is he amongst the best backups? No, but Blackhawks legend. I think he was the 2015 backup. Give me Antti Ranta.
Damn, you're cooking right now, Justin.
And he's been the backup throughout his career too. Like, maybe he's a starter like various points, like briefly, but never really like for extended periods. So that's definitely meets the criteria. Yeah, no question about that one.
Oh, Justin, you're so close to having this not count your Brian Elliott pick.
I counted 5 as starter.
He had 6. He had 6 seasons as a starter.
But more as a backup, so I
Yes,
still win.
He had
Yep.
8, he had 8 as a
Yeah.
backup. Who was your second pick? It was
Antti Ranta.
Ranta.
Yeah. He was like a fringe starter. He's got in between backup and starter. Yeah. Elliott, not Ranta.
All right, to Raven and Tim.
Yeah, we're gonna take Johan Hedberg, the Moose.
That's a good pick.
Fair enough. Well, he was behind Brodeur a lot.
Brodeur for a while,
That's right.
dude. He
Yeah,
was-
And that's where
That's the guy to back up. Didn't have to do much.
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the thing is like it's backup, so it's like you got to play kind of how the relationship of the 1 and 2 is gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the 1 is the best of all time.
Yeah.
Fill this role. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with another backup of Marty Brodeur, Scott Clemenson. Personal fit, that's just like that's a pick from my own heart because he played for the Panthers for so long. Put in some good time with them. Scott Clemenson. Lee?
I'm gonna go with Yaroslav Halak. Do I
It's kind of in the Elliott range. Yeah.
do I have another one?
Yeah.
I'm picking again here. Gosh, there was this. I can't think of this guy's name right now.
What team you play for?
The Coyotes. He was a backup to Mike Smith.
Oh,
Don't say it if you know it.
the name's not coming to me, but I know who he's referring to.
Fuck! Why can't I
All
think
right.
of his name?
You got 10 seconds to make a pick.
No, I mean you can't fucking.
We can't spend all day here, bud. I mean, this is not.
This is the
this
normal recording
isn't the
today.
time. Yeah, this isn't the time.
All right. Does Peter Mrazek have more?
That's a tricky one. I would argue he's probably had more starter seasons, but I could be wrong. He's been injured a lot, so.
I'll check.
All right,
I'll verify.
10 seconds on this.
Well, I'm going with Peter Mrazek if he's had more seasons as a backup. Oh yeah. It has to be under what? 41?
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter Mrazek.
I'm gonna go James Reimer with my last pick.
Leafs legend.
Do you know do you know the backup I was talking about?
I couldn't think of him, but I knew who you were referring to. Yeah, but I just couldn't think
What
of the
was
name.
that guy's
Same as
name?
There's
you.
Brian Booch. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, I searched it up so I could do it easily, but for our last pick, we are taking Al Montoya.
Al Montoya.
Oh,
Very
damn,
expensive.
that's gonna be my last pick.
I
All right,
reached
well,
out
I'll
to him to come on the show, actually.
Big motorsports guy.
Mhm.
All right, last one. I will do my second one. I think he was a backup a lot of those Wings teams. Give me Ty Conklin.
Good pick.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are gonna know him, but that's a good one.
Didn't he start a Winter Classic? He
I-
might have started the Winter Classic I was at.
He might have 2009. Yeah,
Or was
might
it
have.
2009 he started? It
or
might
was
have
it
been.
14? I don't know if he was still on the team at 14. I think he was like a late 2000s guy. Yeah, he was definitely one of those Cups teams. Yeah.
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 Who else? Jamie McLennan, another TV guy. Andy Moog, Eddie Lack could have been picked.
Kevin Weeks.
Kevin Weeks.
Oh,
Kevin Weeks is a great answer.
That's crazy.
Oh.
Also, Jason LaBarbera.
Jason LaBarbera
Is the guy I was.
yeah.
That's who I
That's
was.
the guy.
That was the pull I was trying to.
I was
get.
seeing like hockey cards, like just one of those random guys.
Yeah.
You can show what you're
Jason,
playing.
Yeah, I wanted LaBarbera.
Peter Budai is another guy.
Jeff
yeah.
Zaktoff.
Zach Koff.
Yeah.
Cough, yeah.
Andrew Hammond.
Andrew Hammond. Yeah, I guess. Alex Ald.
Man,
Another name.
There's so many. I feel you could just do another one of like names you didn't do. Man,
Michael Neuver is on this list. That's not.
I'd be shocked if I lost this one. I did a lot of Pander picks in here.
So did I, though.
You did too. You got Darling, so surely we don't lose.
Got Darling, Mrazek, and Hudobin.
Okay. Well, that was a fun one. That was
a good one.
That was tough.
That was a tough one. I have to rack my brain for that one.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Cool.
Shout out to Jason LaBarbera. That's who I wanted.
That's the guy you were thinking of.
Who I
Okay.
wanted. That's who I wanted with the fourth pick. Dude, something that was cracking me up is me and you. Anytime Team Chat GBT, Raven and Tim have like a deep cut, we both do this thing where we both like chuckle a little bit under our breath. And I don't know why, I just find it so funny because it's like
We just know they're using every little site they can, every source. This is not at the top of their heads. They don't have elite puck knowledge like we do, so they're relying on AI and ChatGPT to success. I will say though, that's not the thing that really it doesn't really bother me because like it's fair. They're not really hockey guys like us. What does bother me, however, is the interesting tactics that have been displayed by Tassos. Every single time I pick a Blackhawks player to put in these polls in Mount Rushmores, he puts them wearing other teams' jerseys. Like Ray Emby wearing a Sens jersey, Antti Raanta wearing a Canes jersey, Jeremy Roenick in a Flyers jersey. I could go on and on here all day, but when he does it, they're always wearing the Hawks stuff. It's not fair, man.
He is playing dirty. He is playing dirty. And honestly, you should start saying something about it when he sends the graphic in because
I have been saying stuff about it.
I would be sick to my stomach, dude, if he tried to put, fucking like one of my Hawks guys in a different jersey.
He's not doing it for you. I think Scott Darling was in a Hawks jersey, and I think and Peter Mrazek. Who do you think? I'm pretty sure he was a starter for most of his career, but whatever. I'll let that slide. He was always injured, so I don't think he had played 41 games. But whatever. But yeah, you guys do everything you can to make me lose, and I'm still not losing. I'm in first place, baby. You can't take me down. I will never relinquish the throne here.
You came in
no
second,
matter what
right?
games you guys play. Second place.
Yeah, you came in second. We were kings of this one. It's all right.
But you probably weren't because they were the Hawks jerseys and mine weren't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll start defending you a little bit more. I'll demand some Blackhawks jerseys when they're necessary for you. I got your back on that.
Which, to be fair, like that shouldn't even influence the voting that much. Like if you're just a rational person, you should look at that and think, "Oh, it's Ray. Everybody's wearing a Sens jersey, so I'm going to pick the one that's wearing the Hawks jersey." Like you should know these players, and it shouldn't really matter what the picture is of them. But
Justin, but something I will say that maybe like I think Chicago as a whole, Chicago Blackhawks fans feel more towards Scott Darling than they do Ray.
Because he has that hometown connection. That's fair. I think no offense to Darling. I think I'd take Emery. I mean, I think just his 2013 season, 17-1, like unreal. They won the Jennings of Corey Crawford. But Darling was a big piece of that 2015 team, and he did step in for Crawford against Nashville in the 2015. So that's a fair pick. And Mrazek has a recency over Antti Raanta. Some people might not even remember Antti Raanta that much. So yeah.
Yeah, Antti Raanta is the definition of a Blackhawks legend in my mind.
Yeah, like I think he was a backup, or I didn't know if he was the third goalie on that 2015 team, actually. I think he was even behind Darling. So, yeah, definitely the most forgettable backup in those Hawks years.
Still a good guy to take at, like, you took him at like 3, I think, so.
Yeah, I think he was one of my last picks, so I think that was pretty good value. But anyway, I did finish last, I finished second, you finished first. It was a good Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Okay. Let's before we get out of here, let's tee up some
Do you want
of
to do
these
the breaking
games.
news first? Because we have a few pieces of news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Team Canada is sending Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon over in the Worlds to stop Frank Nazar, who had a multi-goal game the other day against Germany. So we'll see if that'll be enough. They're also sending Marc-Andre Fleury, so I guess he's postponing his retirement for a couple months to play with Sidney Crosby. So that's pretty cool for Team Canada. I guess they're trying their best to replicate Bedard since he's not there, but we'll see if they'll stop Frank Nazar. I think they have a hard time doing that, though.
Yeah, it's sick that like these guys are all going. I think it's good.
Yeah, no, credit to them. I think that's cool. Crosby, where were you last year when Bedsy was there? There's a question I'd like to ask there, but I guess Bedsy's too focused on his off-season routines there. But anyway, yeah, that's cool.
And Fleury to have like one final send-off, like that's gonna be
that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, like even I don't really care that much about the World Championships.
I don't either.
Like Canada could take their Mickey Mouse gold and whatever. Anyway, we'll take the Olympics next year.
Yeah. We don't care about the Mickey Mouse. It would be nice to see Frank Nazar score like 3 on him, but other than that,
oh yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, let Frank Nazar go off. The Frank Nazar Will Smith connection will bring the U.S. to the promised land. Yeah.
All right.
We have another piece of news that you guys keep forgetting. We have Rob Blake and the Kings have parted ways mutually.
Who?
Rob Blake.
Rob Blake, I believe they're GM.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, we knew that we kind of knew that after that Kings fallout that something was going to happen there. It wouldn't shock me if you would think the coach is going to be out too. You would think that's going to be. I mean, surely he has to keep his job after that. That one of the worst challenges of all time that effectively lost in the playoff series. Like, surely he doesn't keep his job.
I think I saw that they're keeping Hiller. I saw that on Twitter like a couple days ago, and I didn't save it. I
really.
But I'm pretty sure they're running it back with Hiller, which is mind-boggling to me. But
so they're firing Blake, but they're keeping the coach. Okay, yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think either of us are surprised by.
No, something was going to happen.
Changes.
Somebody's going to be the scapegoat. Somebody's going to be the fallout guy. So yeah, that's not really shocking to me. And the Kings will see where they go from here.
Yeah. Because I mean, the Kings do obviously need to change the direction at which they're taking things. Because I mean, you've lost to the same team in the first round 4 years in a row now. It's time for change. So I guess not surprising news, but big news nonetheless. Any other big stories?
I believe those are the two.
Yeah, there was one thing. I think it was more of a last week thing, but I don't know if we ever talked about it. But I think as a Hawks fan, it makes sense to bring it up. Isaac Howard said I don't think he's going to be re-signing over there in Tampa. So that's just an interesting little tidbit to throw out there. That's somebody the Hawks can take a look at. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I still can't comprehend how those situations work. Like, so is he just like? Is he still with Tampa though? Like, do
you have to trade for him?
Rights? Yeah,
they still have the rights. So yeah, I think you would have to trade for him still, even though he's not signed. I'm pretty sure that's how that works, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a play. I mean he was electric this year in college. So that'd be a guy, maybe another undersized skill guy. But still, I mean, if you can,
Obi Baker winner, like he could play Frank Nazar, play from the World Juniors. Like I don't know, maybe there's something there. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I think it's a good point. Like if you can get that guy and not give up too much, it's definitely worth picking up the phone. Would
you trade the Toronto first for Isaac Howard? So that pick's gonna be somewhere in the 20 range, probably. Is that too much or not, or maybe not enough? Because he's Obi Baker winner.
I'd do it.
I'd do it. Yeah. I saw that scenario thrown out. I think Shy Blackhawks News threw that out there on Insta. So I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. So I pursued it. Kyle, I'd at least be on the phone, see what's out there.
Because it's like, what are the odds that pick that you take? Let's say it's like 23. What are the odds that
that's going to be 3-4 years down the line? Is he even going to be better?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On top of, is he even going to be better than Isaac Howard? He's not going to be ready.
They could draw the lineup next year, and he could be like a second, third line player. Yeah. So he could play Valva Moore, Frank Nazar. He's played both of those guys. So yeah, just an option. I think because teams you would think would be looking at that, seeing that news. So yeah, Hawks should try to pounce on that.
Yeah. So I'll say yes to that trade. Okay, let's we've kind of teed up Panthers Leafs the whole series, but as far as game one, I don't hate the Maple Leafs in this spot. Like I would not. This is totally like, I feel like the Panthers lose game ones a lot, like especially
doesn't really matter.
I think back to the second round last year, like they had some rest. Boston had just came off of a Game 7 win, and then Boston went straight into Florida like the next day and beat them in Game 1. I don't think the Leafs are going to win a ton of games in this series, but I could see Game 1 being one of them. Is that crazy?
No, it's not crazy. And I actually think if the Leafs want any shot in this series, they have to play ahead. I don't think they're going to come from behind against this Florida team, right? They got to make them come from behind. So, yeah, I think for the Leafs, you have 2 games at home. Like, that's their advantage. The one advantage you do have is home ice, which, I mean, with that corporate Leafs crowd, I'm not really sure how much advantage that is, but it is an advantage, even though it's a pretty quiet crowd because the real fans are outside. But yeah, I mean, I think if they could take advantage of that, you at least got to win one. You at least got to split the homestand. If anything, you probably should win both, but, split, because you're not going to win both against this Florida team, which is not going to happen. So, but yeah, this Game 1, I mean, they are a little more rested and refreshed, which isn't always a good thing. I mean, most of the time I'd say it's a benefit, but it isn't always the case. I mean, we're talking 5 games for 6 years, so not too much of a difference, a couple of days. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Leafs, if there was a game to win the series, that this would be the one. Nah. Florida's got this covered. They're gonna waltz over them. So, maybe not waltz. I think these games will be close, but I think Florida's gonna narrowly edge to start the series off, which I think we're gonna see a lot of Florida narrow edges in this series. I foresee. Yeah.
I agree. I think there is going to be a lot of narrow edging. And honestly, what I think this series is going to come down to, because obviously I've said that I think the Panthers win it. I think they're going to win it off the strength of that third line that I keep talking about. Like, I just feel like the Toronto,
Leafs got nothing for that.
The Toronto bottom 6 does not match up well against the Florida bottom 6.
They're going to eat them alive, man. When that line's out there, that's going to be a mismatch. It's like, if you're Trout, you almost want to get a top line out there, but it's like then they could shut down that top line. So what do you do? Because if you put out your bottom 6 against them, you're just going to get killed. So yeah. I feel like there's no really good option there, because if you put out your top line against them, then it gives better matchups for the Barkov and Reinhart lines, etc. So yeah, it's going to be a problem for Toronto to manage, because like they don't really have that same type of 3-line enigma there that Florida does. So that's gonna be tricky to navigate.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, if the Panthers wanted to, and they wanted to match up, say, that third line against the Toronto second line, but put those guys out. You trust those guys to do the job against Nylander and Tavares, and then it's like, okay, then you got the Bennett Kachuk line against that Domi McMahon makeshift 3rd/4th line. I don't see that going very well for Toronto. If you match up all these lines together, it doesn't look good for Toronto.
That Florida's got the perfect recipe here. I mean, the Toronto would have nothing for it. So, this is the Ottawa Senators here. This is big boy hockey. This is the Senators not at home. These are the Senators are trying to be, as the Florida Panthers, right? But they have the pieces to really make it work. So, yeah, it's gonna be a tough time there, and hopefully, the Chuck brother number 2 will be able to avenge Brady. Yeah.
And also, like, your knee-jerk reaction to this series, like the keys for the Maple Leafs is, like, obviously,
core four's got to be consistent. They got to show out, but got to get outside contributions, and Stoller's got to stand on his head.
And Tassos talks about, like, the lazy, like, repetitive narratives, like,
but it's
core
true.
Four needs to
they have to. That's what they're getting paid to do.
They do, but also it's like, it's going to be so brutal for them, because especially that, like, Matthews-Marner line, they're going to be going up against that Florida top line that is two Selke finalists. Reinhart and Barkov are 2 of the 3 Selke finalists this year, and they play on the same line. And so it's just like, I could see those lines kind of canceling each other out a little bit. Because don't get me wrong, like, Marner and Matthews are both phenomenal defensively as well, so I could see those lines almost canceling each other out a little bit.
And then it comes down to the bottom 6 and the depth, and Florida has better depth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's, no question.
That's where I get to my Florida depth take. That I think that's going to be the difference in this series. I do think it'll be a close one. I've said Florida in 6. I'll stand by it. But we'll see. Tonight, let's do score predictions tonight. I'm gonna say 3-2 Leafs. I'm gonna say the Leafs win Game 1. Get Leafs Nation on its feet. They're gonna start getting delusional, saying how this could be our year, and they're gonna start planning the parade, and then they're gonna get dummied in Game 2 and go back to Florida even. That's how I see this.
All right, I'll say 3-1 Cats. I think, I have Cats at 5 in this series. I'll stick to my guns there, and I know it's also Cats at 5 in 2023. Everybody's saying it's much different this time. I don't really think it's that much different. I really don't. And I think we're kind of going to see the same process play out here. Maybe the games are a little closer. That's about it. Yeah.
Do we have Tassos around?
Yeah, just give him 1 sec.
Okay.
Because Lee, here's the thing: the people are saying, "Oh, this Maple Leafs team is better." So is this Florida team. This Florida team is also better. Like, this is the best Cats team we've seen. So, and I would argue the Florida team's even better based on 2023 than the Leafs from 2023 as well. I would make that argument as well. That Leafs team had to beat Tampa in 6, not the freaking Senators. So, I mean, there's that as well.
All right. What do you need?
Maybe score predictions tonight and
For the Leafs.
some thoughts about the series. I just said
You brought me on for a score prediction.
well, I mean, and
Maple Leafs talk.
and just thoughts on the series. I just said that I think that I could see the core four for the Leafs, their top line kind of canceling out a little bit with Florida's top line, and so I give the edge to the Florida in this series just because I think I trust the bottom 6 of Florida a lot more than bottom 6 of the Leafs. I guess if you want to give your thoughts on that take, and then also your score prediction for tonight.
Yeah, tonight's a big game. Tonight is very clearly a big game. No Ekblad is something you want to take advantage of, get a jump on early. It's game 1. You have home ice. Don't let them steal it right back from you right off the jump and make it mean nothing. And yeah, other than that, I think it's going to be, second time in NHL history that 3 former Cup winners of a team have played that team in the playoffs the next year with Stolarz OEL and Steven Lorentz. So I think that, I think those guys are like talking in the locker room about certain things in this series, certain like the way that Florida does things, certain phrases that are said in the locker room I know are bouncing around Toronto's room and facilities and things like that. So I think this is going to be a good series either way. Is Florida the better team for sure? But do I see this going 6 or 7 games? Yeah. We'll see. If it goes 7, though, I don't like the Leafs. Obviously, like you gotta
do it in 6.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it in 6.
Yeah.
You gotta make them doubt at some point here soon that they are maybe not the same Leafs, or like you got to make the Panthers doubt themselves, and it's a hard team to make do. So start it out tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I could totally see the Leafs winning tonight. I predicted 3-2 Leafs. But dude, that's kind of my issue with this series is like, I think everybody with a pulse that's not completely delusional will acknowledge the fact that Florida is probably the better, deeper team. But also on top of that, they're the more clutch team. And so
they have the experience that the Leafs don't. They've been there, done that.
With those two things, it's going to take some, extremely impressive performances from the Leafs top dogs for them to win this series. I don't think it's impossible. Like, I know everybody's writing them off, but it's like, what is everybody going to say if Toronto just lights them up in the first 2 games? Like, that can happen. Like, what if Bobrovsky looks shaky and Matthews fucking scores 2 and Marner has a couple? Like, then all of a sudden you're going back to Florida, Toronto up 2-0. We're going to get a bunch of hindsight heralds talking about how maybe they should have seen this coming. I don't know. I hope this is a series, though.
Yeah, I just think the Florida, like, even if you lose these first 2 games, it just doesn't always seem to matter where they are in the series. You just always have that faith that they're going to figure it out. They're going to come through. So they get back to Florida, they're a completely different team. So, I think, too, like, the reason, too, like, it looks logical to pick the Leafs tonight with Ekblad out. But I thought the same thing in the last series. When Ekblad was out to start that series, Tampa's got to take advantage. You're at home here. Got to take the lead. Sure, they're going to do it. And it didn't happen. And I could just totally see the same thing happening.
Yeah, and that's a good point about the Panthers, too, is like this is a team that home ice does not mean shit when you're playing the Florida Panthers. I'm sorry, it just
they play the same everywhere.
We see them every single year go in other teams' buildings, put up crazy performances, walk out with a win, and just dip out. Yeah. Like we see it time and time again. I think that's also kind of the confidence that they had at the end of the regular season, resting a lot of these top dogs. It's like we don't care. Toronto, Tampa, you guys want to worry about home ice
seeding
advantage?
and home ice. They don't.
Yeah, if
they're
that's
about the cup.
To you,
yeah.
So, I don't think the home ice matters, especially at the library in Toronto. But I do think they get this one done in game 1 tonight.
That's fair. It's a desperation game for the Leafs. Like I said, I feel like you have to play with the edge here in the lead, right? Try to creep some down, even though it's a tough thing, like Tassos said. So it's a game, not that they have to win. It's game one. Like I know there's a joke that Lazarus threw out there, like game one's a must win, but it does kind of feel like it. Like if the Panthers do take the early lead in the series, I don't see them ever giving it up.
Yeah, people act like saying like calling like non-elimination games must win is such a crazy thing. But like when you see a series like the Colorado versus Dallas, where like Colorado had so many moments in so many games this series where they could have put it and they didn't. And so it's like if these series are going to be so tight,
every game matters. Every moment matters. You can't throw anything away.
A game 3, depending on the circumstances, can easily be
come back to bite
must
them.
Win. Yeah,
everybody's gonna come back to this and think, oh yeah, the game one. I guess it was. If they just came away with that, it's like, well, man, they didn't do it though. So yeah.
I also do feel like the Leafs start off a lot of these series pretty strong. So
that helps.
You know, and they did it against Ottawa too. So yeah. I'm expecting a Leafs win tonight, but would not be stunned if the Florida Panthers walk into that building and do what they do.
You're spot on, Lee. The Leafs are great at starting series, but they're not very great at finishing them, are they? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's
all we have on that one, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday slate. We got a couple of games. The first game in the Canes Caps series. I'm leaning Canes. I think they're gonna get it done in 6. I trust them so much more than the Capitals. I trust them more to put games away. I think they're more defensively responsible. I think they've got better high-end talent. They don't have Beauvillier playing on their first line, you know. I'm leaning Canes. I hope it's a series. I hope we have more drama. I hope we have more OV goals. But I think the Canes are going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, my bracket had the Capitals, so I kind of want to stick to my guns there and also just be different from you. So, yeah, I guess this is a pick that I don't believe. Like, I think the Canes probably have this one covered just based off of what I saw with these two teams in the first round. I feel like the Canes really took care of business there. Devils game a fight, they won a game, but I thought those were two very different 5-game series where I'm kind of the same veins as you. Like, yes, the Caps beat the Canadiens in 5. The Canadiens are a much worse team than the Devils, and that did not feel like a 5-game series, honestly. I mean, that was probably the least convincing five-game series win I've seen in recent memories. So. And plus, this Canes team has been there, done that. The Capitals, yeah, maybe some of those guys have, but most of the team hasn't been there, done that, right? Mm-hmm. So I know they've had a great regular season there, and the vibes, the storylines, yada yada. I just think the Canes are more built for the playoffs. The way they play, the heavy style play, I feel like it's just a mismatch for this Capitals team. So I just see them. I could definitely see them edging this in 6. I do think it's going to be a long series. I think it's going to be a 6-7 gamer. I don't think it's going to be a 4 or 5 game series, but. I do look at this series, though. I feel like it's going to be either absolute cinema or kind of a snoozer for second-round Sanders. Like, I kind of see that being the case. I thought there's no in-between there, right?
I just hope the bad blood's there, you know? Like,
that's
I
what I'm
hope
hoping.
It's a physical one, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I want to see that.
I want to see more Tom Wilson antics, if I'm being honest with you. I want to see him fucking fake crying and getting under the skin of some of the guys on the Canes team. Like,
yeah,
that's what we need out of the series.
So we want to see the drama. So that's what we're hoping. Yeah, you're right. There is some bad blood-based teams, and hopefully it tends to boil over, right? Especially as these games progress, as these games build on each other. That tends to be the case. So hopefully that'll occur. And yeah, I think either way, like I don't really have a ball in this court here. Like whoever comes out on top, for different reasons, I think I'd be happy to see. For the Canes, I think they've had a hard time advancing in these conference finals. So could they be able to be the team that dethrones the Cats if they're the team that's in round 3? That'd be fun to watch. For the Capitals, how far can they take this thing based off the season they've had? I think it only go out with one last cup, right? Both these teams, I think, have reasons, I think, to kind of cheer for them a little bit. So I'd be happy either way. Yeah.
I'm going to say, and so I picked Canes in 6, but I'm going to say that I think Washington wins game 1 at home. And then I think that's just going to piss off the Hurricanes, and you're going to see them bounce back in game 2. And then, maybe.
They're so good at home.
Yeah, they are.
They barely lose at home in the playoffs, right? So they don't have home ice, but I mean, I think they'll find a way as the series progresses. The Capitals might take early advantage, but as the series progresses, they'll take a few Capital One center, and that'll be the difference in this series. Same deal with the Jets. Like I kind of view the Capitals in a similar light, maybe not quite the same, but two teams that had great regular seasons, but I just don't know if the style of play this time of year. I know they both came away with round 1 wins, but I wasn't really convinced or moved by either of them. I think they're both pretty predictable, wildcard teams. They should be there. They did, to their credit. But they're going to have a hard time to play a real playoff team here.
Agreed. The Lee and Justin agree fest with this series.
And yet, with that being said, I do have the Capitals winning just to be different from you. And because my bracket, I have it in my bracket, so I feel like I can't go against my bracket, even though based on what I've seen this past few weeks, I would change it if I could. Hindsight Harold, but I feel like I got to stick to my guns. I don't like when people do that when they go back and forth. So Respect. You have the Canes, and you had the Canes in how many games?
I said 6. I don't even know if you picked that on your bracket, but I'm saying 6.
All right, I'll say the Capitals, and I'll say this one goes 7 games.
Okay, yes. Fair enough.
Dylan Strome, Game 7 overtime winner. I'm just kidding, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, Oilers versus Vegas Golden Knights. We've got a doozy here. I've avoided predicting this series for good reason.
Who knows?
I feel like we've almost exhausted all the storylines with this one. It's questions for the Oilers defensively and in the net, but they might be able to outscore all their problems. And it's like it feels like that shouldn't work all playoffs long. Like I feel like there's no way.
Find a way.
There's no way they can make it to the Stanley Cup final, let alone win it this year. But maybe, how far are they going to take?
You can't write them off, man. You can't completely write them off. I do think it's going to be harder to pull that off against a Vegas team versus the Kings, because unlike that Kings team, this Vegas team does not really have a lot of flaws, right? They're a team that's won the Stanley Cup. That's been there, done that. The Kings are a team that's never really won a first round since they won the Cup in 2014. So 2 very different teams here. I think Vegas, if there's a team that could, sort of fizzle out that Edmonton squad, it's them. But I don't know, man. The Oilers have they did lose to them before in 2023, so they're looking for revenge there. They're looking to flip the script there. So we'll see from that perspective. I do think I had this as a second-round series, so something I was right about. I do believe I had the Vegas winning my bracket, and I will stick to that. I'm not really sure if I fully believe it, to be honest with you. Like, if I could pick the Oilers now, once again, I probably would, because I'm a vibes guy. But I have a hard time betting against those two. But I will say this team, this year's squad doesn't move me like last year's, and Vegas seems like they're as good as they were in 2023. Maybe not quite as good, but close. Maybe not a cup team, but definitely a conference final team.
Yeah.
So I will say I give them the edge. Am I going to say 7 again? I'll say 6. Yeah.
Gun to my head, I do lean towards the Golden Knights. Like, they're so much more reliable. You're not going to get like a fluke. Like, we are totally primed for like a 6-2 beating at some point, where the Knights are just going to pound the Oilers in one of these games. And I think it's going to be early. Like, I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to get out to an early lead in this series, and then Edmonton's going to do their bullshit where Connor McDavid does the most unbelievable thing and Leon Draisaitl scores 3 points in a game. And like the Oilers are going to come back and make it close, but I think it's
not going to be enough this time.
Yeah. I think the mental fortitude of the Vegas Golden Knights is what separates them from the LA Kings.
Yeah, and there's no doubt with this team. Yeah,
I think they're going to be able to deal with the offensive onslaught from the Oilers as this series progresses, and I guess I'll predict them to win in Game 7.
Okay, fair enough. I hope, and they don't have a coach there who's gonna, have a stupid coach's challenge to throw away the series. So, and they have the Jack Eichels there, could, maybe shut down McDavid. We'll see. I mean, I'm not shut him down, but keep him in check.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of multi-point games, just a point a game.
1 point per game.
Yeah, which that's considered shutting down McDavid. He's only putting up a point a game. Like, you accomplished your job. That's because they're not going to win if he's not putting up multi-point games.
Justin, if you keep Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid to a point per game in this series, you win.
Yeah, a point each for them. They get 2, and maybe they get something from somewhere else. But their goaltending and defense is so bad, they're probably letting up 3+ goals a game anyway. So Pickard, they're not going to be able to ride Calvin Pickard, 2 straight rounds. Surely they're probably going to have to go back to Skinner at some point. How's that going to look? So, I just think this Vegas team is light years better than LA, and I just don't know if the same tricks are going to be able to work for Edmonton. They'll make it a series. They'll be close. I do think so. Maybe not all the games will be close, but the series will be close. But yeah, I can't see it winning 4.
This shouldn't be a series. It shouldn't
be, but I'm doubtful. I have zero confidence in anything I just said, and you probably would say the same.
The Vegas Golden Knights are so much better. Like, they really should wipe the floor. The Vegas Golden Knights are one of the best home teams in the league. They should easily win Game 1. That's going to make Calvin Pickard probably draw out of the lineup. You're going to put Stuart Skinner back in. Oh, no, you got drama. You're down a game. Stuart Skinner's coming back in. It's just a tidal wave of hell. I foresee all this happening. If Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl fucking do this, I won't know what to say. I really won't know.
You know what? And I would love to see it, even if it screws. My bracket's already screwed. I don't care about my bracket anymore.
me neither.
I'm not really betting on this a ton. So yeah, I for the vibes, for the story, just based off of how last year ended and the forward, I'd like to see them go on a run here. Maybe not win it all, but like I'd like to see them go on a run. Like see how far they could take it.
Yeah. Because it kind of feel, I don't know.
It's fun. Yeah. It goes
fun.
against the norm because this team breaks every single rule about, defense wins championships, structure, physics. Like this team takes every single, playoff rule and just throws it away. Like there's just such a different, unique team, or just nothing else applies, that we've seen. No precedent applies to this team.
Watching this Edmonton Oilers team kind of feels like watching someone do something like really dangerous. And it's like, ooh, like, this isn't going to end well, but I can't look away because, like,
what's going to happen? Yeah,
what's going to happen?
Every Oilers game is must-watch hockey, I will say. I'll give them credit for that.
Is.
It really is. Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's entertaining. And that's a team I think, I'd be happy to watch a little more here for sure. But I think they'd have a harder time in round 3 against Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. And then before we get out, we should tee up maybe a little bit more Dallas Stars versus the Winnipeg Jets. I think I'm going to say Dallas in 5 here. I know Winnipeg has the home ice. I don't care. I think, I think the Blues played really well against the Jets. They were physical. They were tenacious. Hats off for them getting to that game 7. They realistically should have won. I just think this Dallas Stars team is a whole different challenge. Like, they're too deep. They're better on the back end. They've gotten way more consistent goaltending. The forward depth is not even a question. It's light years ahead of the Winnipeg Jets offensive depth. I don't see the Jets winning more than a game in this series, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think beating the Colorado Avalanche in 7 games versus beating the St. Louis Blues in 7 games. They're very different stories at play there. 2 very different matchups there. So, yeah. There's one thing we're allowed to agree on. It's this one. Like, I have no faith in that Jets team in this series. I do not care. I think the President's Trophy curse dated back to 2013. Hawks, the last President's Trophy team to win a cup. I think that will continue. I think they got a really hard time against the Stars team. And you said 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say the exact same thing, but you said you don't think they're going to win more than 1 game. So you know what? There has not been a sweep in these playoffs.
Going for a sweep.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think that's just based off of the way they won that series. Like, I think that the vibes are on that team's side. Like I said, I'm a big vibes guy. I'm a big momentum guy. You could argue the Jets have some. They kind of stole. Like that series was not a convincing 7. I was not convinced. I was not moved. That was a stolen game. That was a Grand Theft Auto. The Stars, I guess maybe earned the series, but as the series progressed, no. Like they earned that series. That's a much better team over there. So especially if they could get some more healthier. Maybe those guys come back at some point. We'll see. Even if they don't, this team is on such full steam ahead. I don't think they even need J. Robert Hasky. They can win the cup without those guys.
They don't. And also one point I'll make on the back of that, Justin, is like, if Morrissey and Scheifele are banged up, even if they're back, but they're just banged up, like I think if the Jets are to miss Morrissey and Scheifele, that's a way bigger loss.
That's way worse.
Way bigger loss.
Way worse.
Just because Dallas has depth everywhere. Like they've got other good defensemen. Like Thomas Harley's been phenomenal. And I don't have to tell you about the forwards because we know that top to bottom they're stacked. So
it's the same deal as Florida. Like they have 3 lines that can roll. Like if there's one team I think that could really take on Florida and beat them, I really think it's Dallas. Like, and that I just think they're a team that's desperate for the cup. And maybe I'm jumping the gun there 4 games, but why not? Let's be different. I don't think a lot of people will be predicting that, so I would say 4. I think that'd be fun to see a President's Trophy team get swept.
I appreciate that. I love it. Mixing
I think the Stars are a team that could do that, man. I really think
they
so.
are. And dude, it's just like the Jets.
It's a nightmare matchup.
Nemestikov, fucking, Perfetti, Lowry, like these guys.
Yeah, that's great. Good luck against Dallas.
Look, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable last night. You had your moment. That was your moment.
Yeah. That was our Stanley Cup.
You can't be, relying on Adam Lowry to play 25 minutes a night against the Dallas Stars. Like you're gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, no, I think Dallas could have a much easier time in this series. So, but we'll see. Like I'd love to be. Actually, no, I don't want to be wrong about this one. Never mind. I'm not going to say I'd love to be wrong. No, I want to be right about this.
Yeah, me too.
This could be my you moment where it's like this comes back to haunt me, but I don't think so. I'm not really nervous about this one. Maybe not a sweep, but 5 games. Yeah, they win a game at most. Yeah.
All right, I'm with you there. Okay, I think we did it.
There's one more thing I believe we have to cover. There's one playoff game we missed. Saturday, 6-1 win for the Rockford Ice Hogs against the Milwaukee Admirals, 2-0 in the series. The Rockford Ice Hogs have not lost a playoff game during this Calder run. Like, they might actually win it all, but they might go all the way. And Kevin Korchinski has looked absolutely phenomenal. So I don't want to hear about he who must not be named on the Erie Otters there. So, yeah, nice to see from the Ice Hogs. That's your prospect talk done and dusted. I believe,
hope they win it all. I mean, half the lineup is like an NHL lineup already.
They should. Like the squad they have, this should be a team that goes on a deep run. Like, they have 10 NHL players in that team. Yeah. So yeah, like they're doing exactly what they should be doing. Well, kind of what I've been waiting to see from them all year, because like they had such a mid regular season. Like now they're finally looking like themselves, but I guess they didn't really have all the guys for all season. Now they do. So yeah.
Yeah, I hope they go and win it all. It's going to be great for, the confidence, the morale.
Yeah. We won something.
It's just a building block to go off of for the future for our young guns. So glad you included that. I know our little piggies love their prospect talk. So we
oink oink.
We always try to give that to you guys. Okay, a couple of important notes though before we leave. And if you forget anything I say, you can just go check the stream schedule that we posted on our Instagram, Chicago Hockey Radio. And if you're not following our Instagram, Chicago Hockey Radio, go do that. But tonight, a little bit later, we are going to be live streaming for the draft lottery. I'm sure Justin's going to be zooming in and joining us for that.
I will be cameoing for the draft lottery, correct.
And then we're going to roll straight into the Panthers Leafs. Me and Tassos going to be going back and forth. My Panthers versus his Leafs. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're streaming Tuesday night as well. Doubleheader. We're covering both games, Canes Caps and then Oilers Golden Knights, and then running it back again on Wednesday. So be ready for these streams this week. Again, the schedule's on the Instagram, so check it out there. The streams have been a lot.
I love these streams. One thing I forgot to mention. Last night's stream might be the most entertaining CHR segment like we've done. Like, even though I wasn't there, like I'm humble enough to admit, even though I wasn't there, that may have been our best work. Like that stream with you and Tassos going back and chat with Hellebuck, like that was absolute cinema. Great stuff. So if you've not been there in those playoff streams, the view's been great. Definitely get in there. They've been great. Maybe I'll do some more cameos in the future for that as well.
Yeah. We're going to have to get you on some more here coming up.
Yeah.
But they've been so fun, and like more and more people are seeing them. It's getting out to more people. More people are joining and chatting. And so it's just been like like chats arguing with each other, chats arguing with me. I'm arguing with Tassos, chats arguing with It's just been.
I'm arguing with Trevor. Like, it's great. It's awesome.
And I'm definitely dropping bombs. Yeah. It's,
I'll be in all of them when I graduate, which is not too far away. I think maybe 2 weeks I should be back, and I'll be there for all of them with Lee. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. Not over here, and not in chat. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't joined these live streams, make sure you do it. They've been so much fun.
Yes.
And I'm sure we're gonna have good hockey this week. After all, it's only the end of the first round.
We got a long way to go here, right? We got like a month and a half here. So yeah, a lot of and the hockey tends to get better as it progresses in the playoffs too, which is a great thing. So yeah, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and also if you don't, I mean, people in chat are backing us up on how fun these live streams have been. So yes, thank you guys so much. As I just said, follow the Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so that you know when we go live. I mean, we're streaming and covering as many of these games as we possibly can, so stay up to date on all that. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and review. That stuff helps us a lot, just moving the needle with this thing as far as growth goes. And then also, if you're on TikTok or Twitter, follow us on those platforms too, because we're active on everything. So yes, thank you guys for listening. We will see you in just a few hours for the draft lottery.